Hello, today let's look at a very important question type as far as CAT is concerned, and probably the only question type apart from reading comprehensions which has really stood the test of time. Say for example, the last 8 to 10 years of CAT would have at least seen 3 questions of para-jumbles in nearly every paper. Now, for the fact that there are 3 questions being asked, there needs to be something really tangible which is being checked here. Parajumbles ends up assessing the thought process of a reader as well as his understanding of a topic in relatively dense material, and that too very short, and something which has been put in a short and crisp manner. Here, the reader has to not just think about the logical flow of the paragraph or a continuation, he needs to also sit and think through from the author's perspective as to what would he be thinking while he would be penning down this particular paragraph. Para-jumbles or sentence jumbling is all, if I can put it categorically into, is of 3 types: 4 sentence, 5 sentence and 6 sentences. We'll be discussing all the 3 examples today of 4 sentences. So let me explain the 5 and the 6 one a little bit in depth. If we talk about a 5 sentence para-jumble, it just depends on the mood of the paper setter whether he wants to have the first sentence fixed or the last sentence fixed or all the 5 of them not fixed. If there is a 5 sentence para-jumble, you are supposed to put these 5 sentences in the logical order of their occurrence. If at all the first sentence gets fixed, it actually helps us because from there we can derive some relations and move on to the next 4. On the other hand, if the last sentence or the concluding sentence gets fixed, we can look at a relation the backward way, so even that which ways we'll be able to get the answers easily. If there are all the 5 sentences which are given without a starting or a concluding sentence, that's where this particular set of questions become tricky. For a 6 sentence para-jumble, it is generally with a starting sentence and a concluding sentence. You are supposed to rearrange the 4 middle options, that is a second to the 5th option, in such a way that when seen in coherence with the first to the 6th sentence, it makes sense. If we look at what is para-jumbles, let's specifically look at some 3 examples and look out for 3 approaches of solving the same. And here we specifically will be looking at sentences where there are only 4 in number, whom we are supposed to put it up in correct order. Say for example, first thing that we do is read the sentences as they are. While you read, you will surely have some feelers on how the sentence look like. One of them could give you a feel of a starting sentence. Other might just give you a feel of a concluding or a last sentence. There are some which are extremely tricky para-jumbles where neither do you end up finding a hint about the starting nor about the ending. In those questions, it becomes important that you find or you start finding links between these sentences. We'll be looking at one example each for each one of them. Let's start with the first example, which is about finding an opening statement. You know that I must have used a conducive option where I'm able to easily figure out an opening statement. Let's take this example. The example that you see on the screen is being followed by 4 options. Now, having read the question, we understand that B is the likely starting sentence as it introduces the subjects, computer users and the related problems. This seems to be the theme of the passage. Because it starts with B, we can safely say that the 4th option, that is of A, B, C, D, is just not possible. If we drill deep, we understand that option A can also be ruled out as there is no link between B and D. The first option that is given is that of B, D, A and C. As there is no link between B and D, this option can also be ruled out. Moving on to the option B and the option C, the only 2 we are left with. Option B, the BA link looks tempting, but if you read then you will find that in the sequence C hangs loose if put as the last sentence. If C is hanging loose, it does not give any kind of a link, and therefore this does not form a logical flow. If we move to the option C, you will see that C is the link to the computer users and this is lying in B. D should logically follow A, and the link being cures and the nature of cures. Hence, C becomes the best option here. This was an example where we could easily find a starting sentence. Let's move on to the next example where we'll try to find a concluding sentence. The question that you can see here, all the options end in B. Because all the options end in B, it becomes extremely obvious that we are able to spot the concluding sentence. Therefore, we have to try and work backwards in finding the links. If you read the given sequence, you will make out that though some airline has suffered, some flyers have benefited. The D and B link provides the necessary contradiction. Again, we have two options with the DB link, that is option B and C. A, that is the option A, is not a standalone statement and therefore cannot start the sequence. Given these conditions, option B becomes the best option for this question. Here, even if we could have found out the last sentence as the concluding sentence, which is B, the options were of no help to us because each and every option had the option B as the concluding sentence. The third example that we figure out is where it's all reasonably confusing. We don't know where the head is, we don't know where the tail is, and sometimes exactly in a similar way we don't know what the starting sentence is and where the conclusion lies. The third example is on the screen. If we consider the third example, here, since all the options are such that we are not able to figure out one consistency in terms of a starting or an ending sentence, it is difficult to find one. Therefore, let us try to look for a link. The link you may have thought of could be DC. Salmonella being the common factor between the two sentences, it becomes easy for us to establish the option or the link of DC. If we look carefully, there is just one option where DC is a link, and therefore we are just plain and simple lucky to find out the option D as the correct answer. As for para-jumbles, there is no correct or a sure shot way except a lot of practice, because every such question that you solve of sentence jumbling, you will probably come across a unique author who is trying to put forth his point in his own unique way. The more comfortable you get to reading, you will start getting feelers of solving para-jumbles, and that's the sure shot way to cracking para-jumbles. It forms a great chunk of nearly all the exams, and therefore wishing you luck for literally cracking everything related to para-jumbles. Do practice a lot.